Hi, Derek Campana here. On my show, Wizard of Paws, I help animals get moving again, and hopefully with a lot less pain. Whether it's prosthetics for ponies or braces for beagles, I custom build solutions so they can live their best lives. Every animal has a unique story with pet owners who love them, and it's my goal to find a solution that works for each one of them. Watch Wizard of Paws on BYU TV or the free BYU TV app.
Hey everyone, Scott Hansen here from NFL Red Zone. I hope you're checking out 1 hour of 5-Yard Rush, one of the best podcasts on NFL football in the UK.
Yo, what's happening, Rush Nation? Yes, you're not imagining things. Happy Bonfire Night. I said that early because we are, well, back in the studio, as you can see if you're watching on the live stream. If you're joining us, thank you very much. Secondly, as mentioned, it is Bonfire Night, so we are in a Breezeblock building with a metal door, boys. So there will be some fireworks going off. Can't odds that. It adds to the flavour of this reunion. I don't know if people know the reason why we're doing it, Murph. Do people know that you are relocating?
Yeah, people.
Okay, so Murph's relocating next week. Don't know when we're going to be able to do this again. This is the closest the three of us will be geographically, I suppose. So we thought we'd get one in, last one in. And we don't really have a game plan, lads. Our fourth quarter playbook has gone out the window. We're going to be talking some half-season review, some history of 5-Yard, because it's been a hot minute now. 4 or 5 years?
4 years, I think.
4 years. And have I missed anything off the list?
Sort of talking about some coaching hot seats, some of our favourite moments, but some audience participation. Any questions you want to fire in or comments or whatever, get involved. And
question.
Yeah.
Is that on me? Because can you see the comments?
No.
So
you're going to have to.
Right, that's fine. I've got it in front of me.
You're going to have to pay attention. And I guess if anyone is watching and wants to maybe even dial in, they can get in touch with you or whatever. We can just see how this goes. I mean, we won't be able to see them, but other people will. And
I'll be able to.
Well, you'll be able to. You'll just have to converse what the body language is like to the rest of us. But
how does that happen if they get dialed in? What do I do?
You just send the link to them.
If you want to join us on this bonfire party, get involved, Rush Nation. That's all I'm saying. This will be going out as a podcast, the 500th episode. Some of this may be cut out.
Yeah, some of it might be cut out. There will be some additional material. So I think we've put out somewhere like either 486 or 487 podcasts. We should hit 500 in about a week or so's time. So to some people listening to this on the pod, some of this information is from 8 to 10 days previous, but it's still very relevant.
Yeah, but previously, if you'd have done this last year or the year before, it would have been 13 weeks away, whereas now it is a week and a bit's content.
Yeah.
So that's how much we've grown as a podcast network.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy to think that 500 is coming upon us so quickly. Of so many other milestones, 350,000 download and listens, and
just a couple.
Did you think that when you started?
No, like when we hit 100,000, it was monumental, and it was like,
well, yeah. I mean, we hit 200,000 on Spreaker today.
How long have we been with them?
We've been with Spreaker, I think 2 years. 2 years. It was 2 years in July. So
because we hit 250,000 before the season,
the Monday of the season.
Oh, that was apt.
But that was total streams and downloads. But it's like just Spreaker podcast downloads has been 200,000 in 27 months, which is kind of wild.
Kind of wild, considering it started as this.
Well, it didn't even start as this, did it? Let's be honest. It started. I mean, you tell the story.
Let's go.
We went. Yeah, exactly. We go out.
Everyone knows the story now, but
maybe not newer listeners.
No. Well, that's true. If you are joining us for the first time, if you're joining this for the first time, and this is the first time you've seen me and Murph, this is how it used to look. This
is where we used to do it pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
We used to be here every Monday night.
I wonder when the last time we were in here was.
I can tell you the last time we were in here. It was February before the pandemic. So February 2020 was the last time we did this.
When the flu was just in Asia.
There were some cases here, but it wasn't anything to be overly worried about.
It was just going to blow away in the wind.
Well, you think we had SARS and swine flu, and we had all those other things. And people we kind of all just thought this was going to be the same thing.
Yeah.
So I think it was like the last week of February. It might have been the first week of March. It was around that sort of time that we did this.
Yeah, it's fair.
You were here as well. Yeah, I thought it was fair.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah, also, this is Lee. If you haven't seen a studio episode, Lee was occasionally in shot. Most of the time, he was out of shot working it. We're now on StreamYard, so we don't need Lee to work the machine. He can be on the pod without worrying about running backwards and forwards to the camera because it's turning off after 40 minutes and all of that jazz. So we're 5 minutes in. We've covered nothing football related, but we are back in the studio, and it feels good. It's good to be back. It's good.
Like you said, it's the last time we're going to do this in a while. It's the first time we've done it in a while, and last time we're going to do it for a while.
It's for one
night. Kind of one night only kind of thing. Yeah, we'll do it again. You know, I'll be down this way, but obviously I move next week, so I thought it'd be really good just to get together. I haven't seen you boys. I mean, we went for dinner about just over a month ago. Lee, I've not seen you for probably since the pandemic started.
Since that last episode.
So yeah, it's been a long time. Even though we do chat a lot and talk, it's just nice to be in the same room with you all and on the other side of, not quite fully the other side of COVID, but with
I don't know if that statement will ever be. I don't think we'll ever fully be. It'll just be like the flu, won't it? Eventually, and
well, yeah. I mean, if you're like Aaron Rodgers, you just have to take some unapproved drugs and take some unapproved drugs and just circumvent rules and you'll be fine. He feels fantastic, which is great. That's what we
I mean, if he. I think the money probably helps him feel fantastic regardless of the situation. And he can now, I mean, for those of you who are listening to this and haven't heard the Aaron Rodgers news, I suppose we should talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron Rodgers went on his friend Pat McAfee's show. If you haven't had a chance to listen to it, go and listen to it. It's a 43-minute diatribe. He calls it a diatribe, so I don't feel bad using that language. To summarize, he says that he was allergic to something that was in 2 of the vaccines. There were some concerns over the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. He chose to not get vaccinated. However, he went in a press conference and said that he was immunized. He said that because he wanted the narrative to go away, didn't want to talk about it.
Right.
And so he openly admits to circumventing some protocols, not all protocols, regarding COVID, that the Packers were complicit in this, that they were happy. Well, I don't want to say happy, that's putting words in mouth, that they allowed him to go into a room unvaccinated without masks to circumvent not just NFL guidelines, but legal guidelines that are put in place in America and in Wisconsin for COVID, into a room full of journalists, regardless of whether they're vaccinated or not, and stand in front of them without a mask. And he openly says that he took homeopathic therapies that he believed were right for his body, and that's his decision. He says he would have clarified the point, immunized, had the follow-up question would have come, but why would a follow-up question come to, have you been vaccinated? And you answer, yes, I've been immunized. What follow-up question is there going to be?
True.
You know, he perpetrated a narrative that allowed him to not answer any more questions, which was his intention.
And let's be honest, at the time, reporters were only really interested in are you still going to be a Packer?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they were trying to move on from that. That was really just a...
And look, listen, there is a part of his argument that I understand, that he says he doesn't want to talk about his health status. He felt it was a witch hunt, which I can sympathize to a degree. And I can understand the fact that he obviously had made a decision, a health decision. Let's say he's right and he's exempt, right? Medically exempt from taking these vaccinations.
Well, what makes it? But would he be exempt?
He says that he is allergic to something.
Does that make him exempt?
Yeah, because you can't have it if basically there's quite a few people that are allergic to some of the ingredients, because it could lead to anaphylaxis and therefore greater good. So, but the thing is, what he was saying was that you could be exempt from having the vaccine, but you're still classed as unvaccinated. So you still have to go in the unvaccinated protocols, but at least you have a reason. Now, he says he didn't want to disclose all of this. He wanted to be done with the conversation. He feels that healthcare should be private, shouldn't be, or your health should be private. And I agree with him. I think, I do agree with that. My issue with all of this is he lied. He lied and he put people at risk. They are my problems with. I don't care if Aaron Rodgers gets a vaccine or not. Obviously, I would like everybody to get vaccinated if possible, and if it's the right thing for them. It's not right for everyone. But if it is, I'd like people to get vaccinated because I personally have seen the benefits of being vaccinated. Not going to go into it, but I have single-handedly benefited from being vaccinated. And I'm happy to have that discussion offline with people who know me. If he wants to keep it private, he gets asked the question, have you been vaccinated? I do not wish to discuss my vaccination status with you or anyone because I believe health is private.
Yeah. Do you not think...
Then this is not a problem anymore. This is not... People aren't outraged that Aaron Rodgers didn't get vaccinated. There are many people that have not been vaccinated. Kirk Cousins has not been vaccinated.
Like Cole Beasley.
Cole Beasley's not. But Cole Beasley's... People had umbrage to Cole Beasley because of the way that he went out of his way to portray it. That was... The problem wasn't the fact that he wasn't getting the vaccine. The problem was the way that he attacked people for getting vaccinated.
Yeah.
That's an issue. If Kirk Cousins is someone who is not vaccinated. He's chosen to not be vaccinated. You don't see Kirk Cousins, and I appreciate he is not Aaron Rodgers, but he's still a highly paid quarterback in this NFL league. Nobody is going to be upset or disappointed that Kirk Cousins isn't vaccinated. The same way I don't think people would have been disappointed if Aaron Rodgers had this come out and he'd not been vaccinated. The problem that people have is he stood and told the media that he had been immunized. And his narrative is, well, I believed I was immunized. I tried to challenge the league that my immunization protocol was good enough.
Yeah.
And he tried to change policy. By the by, he stood and he told a lie. And he told Pat McAfee today that he told that, even though he says he didn't lie, he says he believes by science he has been immunized. But he admitted he told that narrative because he did not want any more questions about it. That is a man who understands what he is saying, the meaningful impact of what that means. And he has told a bunch of beat reporters that he is immunized, which is a synonym for vaccination. And that I'm vaccinated. Especially as he's answered the question in the affirmative. Are you vaccinated? Yes, I am immunized.
Yeah.
Right? You can understand why there's no follow-up question because you've answered in the affirmative to, are you vaccinated?
When the answer is, in fact, no.
No.
But I am immunized.
Right. And if it said, no, but I'm immunized, and then he explained, or he goes, I do not want to talk about my vaccination status. I believe it's a highly private thing. I don't judge people who are or are not vaccinated. I'm not saying I am or am not vaccinated. It is a private medical decision. And I'm not going to discuss it. I'd have been fine. I wouldn't have had a problem with anything. He comes out, he's not vaccinated. That's his decision.
Yeah.
As he says, every person has a right, especially understanding if what he says is true, that he is allergic to 2 of the 3 major vaccines, and the third one has clotting issues and is therefore a greater risk to him to have it than to not have the vaccine and get COVID, then I understand those decisions to not have the vaccine. Like, that makes logical sense. He shouldn't have to explain that. He now has to because he's lied. That's why he's having to clarify all of his statements. But had he kept it private, no, I don't think this is as big a thing. He's attacking the media. He's calling it the woke left. He's politicized this by attacking liberals, saying that it's their fault that they're coming at him and making this a political issue. Well, he's made it a political issue by bringing all this up. So, Aaron Rodgers for me today is really disappointed, and he's attacked the league. He's thrown the Packers under the bus. He's called the league. He's said that the league told him that people who have the vaccine can't get COVID. I'm not sure I believe that.
It seems a bit outrageous.
Yeah. And he goes on to attack the league protocols regarding unvaccinated players. And it does sound bad, like from what he was saying. And I'd go and watch the interview listening just to the process that unvaccinated players have to go through versus vaccinated players. And I think there is a point there that vaccinated players can spread this virus, that they don't go through hardly any of the same protocols as the unvaccinated players, that there should be a review of that. Yeah. But he has openly admitted to not following certain protocols because he doesn't believe the science behind it, which is just a damning indictment of public safety. Yeah. And that's, he should get banned. He's not going to play this week because he is out for 10 days.
On the COVID list.
On the COVID list for testing positive for COVID. So Jordan Love will play this week. And if I was the Packers, I'd play Jordan Love next week because he's not available to go back to the facility till Saturday.
So the day before.
24 hours before they play in week 10.
I guess that is determined by how Jordan Love plays against the Chiefs.
Yeah, but let's say Jordan Love does okay. Let's say he does okay. Let's say they win the game. And he does okay. I would probably... And also, let's go back to this whole thing with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. Jordan Love was drafted as a first-round draft choice. They traded up to get Jordan Love. We don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Packer next year. We didn't know he was going to be a Packer this year until late. You have to know what you've got in Jordan Love. Because this is his third year in the NFL. It's his third year in the NFL. So why not give him this little mini audition? At the end of the day, the Packers are going to win the division. They're going to win the playoffs. I mean, in their division alone, they're 3 games clear? Yeah. At time of recording this? So...
Well, if you're watching live, then
if you're watching live right now, they're
4 games clear.
They're 4 games clear, right? So they're going to win the division. They're going to win the division. So they're going to secure themselves a top 4 seed. Yes, it is quite tight. You're playing for the 1 seed. Maybe you can't afford to lose 2 games. Who knows? Depends what happens this week. I think if you win this week against the Chiefs, I think you can win next week. And then all of a sudden you're really in a good spot and you know what you got with Jordan Love. And then you can make a decision based on what you want to do next year. So
yeah. Although Jordan Love was a reach in the first round for them when they drafted him because of what happened at Utah State and the player he was, it was a bit of a shock. But like you say, he's now 3 years into his tenureship. If he was terrible, he wouldn't still be there as the backup quarterback to Aaron Rodgers, knowing that the heir apparent is in the seat ready for whenever the almost Brett Favre-ian moment that Aaron Rodgers...
On behalf of a fan of a team with a terrible backup quarterback, yes, he could be.
I mean, maybe it's 2 years, actually, because it was 2020 class he got drafted, wasn't he? Jordan Love. Maybe it's his second year in the NFL. Next year will be his third year. But anyway, even regardless, I think this is an opportunity now for Jordan Love that's been gifted to him. And
well, that's the thing. If he goes out and beats a team in the Chiefs that everybody considers to be one of the best teams in the league, right? They're not playing so well at the moment. Their defense is shocking at the moment. And Patrick Mahomes isn't performing. But if they go out and beat the Chiefs, that in itself is a big win for Jordan Love and the Packers. And then, like you say, next week they have to start him.
It's not a terrible game for him, to be honest, because even if they lose to the Chiefs, he can still play well against that defense and make it into a good game. Do you know, he can make it a close game and play well in defeat. That might be enough. The following week you get the Seahawks.
Which, Russ might be back and it's a different game. If it's not, then, again, right now he has got he's facing, in the next 2 games, if he plays the next 2 games, he's playing 2 below average NFL defenses. So, if I'm the Packers right now, it's easy to say number 1 seed. But listen, they were the number 1 seed last year and they didn't make the Super Bowl. So I kind of feel like you need to know what you've got in Jordan Love. You're going to win the division. You're going to be a top 3 or 4 seed anyway. Why not just see what you got in Love, see what he can do against 2 below average defenses. And do you know what? If he absolutely bombs this week, throws 3 interceptions, then you just go back to Aaron Rodgers next week. It's no harm done.
Yeah.
It's a free hit for Jordan Love, as you say. Because he gets beat by a good team. Even if he bombs out against the defense, you kind of know what you got. But at least if he puts up a reasonable performance, this week, he should play against the Seahawks next week. It just makes sense from an organizational point of view.
Also, from the organisation's point of view, you can save face a little bit and say, well, Aaron Rodgers lied to us for making him sit this week as a punishment.
Well, I mean,
no one, let's be honest, no one can argue with you. That's what you say is happening. That's what's happening.
He's put the organisation in a difficult position, and maybe they take some time. It's like you say, it's a good way of throwing the ball over to Jordan Love for a couple of games, and you figure all this mess out that Aaron Rodgers has just left you a giant bomb where he's just basically throwing you under the bus. It's going to have to be an NFL investigation now.
Yeah,
like it's just a mess. And yeah, I think you go with Jordan Love. I still think with Jordan Love they beat the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs are. I think Patrick Mahomes is hurt. I really believe that Patrick Mahomes is injured. We saw it on Monday Night Football. He had a little limp on the sideline, and he's definitely been carrying this injury all season long. And, you look at the Chiefs and you go, why is Patrick Mahomes throwing so many interceptions? He's thrown an interception in his last 7 games. Now, you don't go from being as good as he has been to where he is now and say he's just on a bad run of form. You don't get to be that good, throw interceptions in 7 consecutive games, and then go to where you are. And the Chiefs now, for the remainder of the season, as it stands right now as we're recording, do not play a team below 500. Now, maybe the Broncos, if the Broncos are 500, so maybe by the time they play the Broncos, they might be under 500, they might be 500.
Two kinds of...
Who knows? But ultimately, everyone they play is a 500 or better team the rest of the year. Do we really believe that the Chiefs are... It's not the defense is playing bad. They scored 3 points against Tennessee. Everything's wrong. Like, he's making poor decisions. And I think a lot of it is due to pain. I think it's due to the fact that he is hurt. And it's just not working there this season. It wouldn't surprise me if they lose a few of the next games that you see Mahomes shut down for the season. It wouldn't shock me. Because he's definitely not right.
I also think Patrick Mahomes is a guy that plays. He plays on the edge, and we all love a no-look pass. But if you go back and look at a lot of those no-look passes, they never had to be. But then when you start playing hurt, those no-look passes start getting intercepted. Those passes that you think are, those tight window throws, those don't make it there. And all of a sudden, it snowballs way quicker when things are going bad than when they're going good.
But and the other thing is as well, right? Everybody loves those no-look passes. Everyone loves the show voting kind of plays, right? And when you're winning a lot of games, when you're the number 1 seed in your conference, when you're the number 1 team, you're getting a bye. That stuff's all right by me, right? When you do the trick plays, the razzle dazzle, the kind of stuff, right? When you are 4-4 and you're getting beat by Tennessee, not just beat, destroyed by Tennessee. Like there was only 1 team in that game. When you are losing games the way that the Chiefs are losing football games right now, just because they beat the Giants, that doesn't make them a good team. In fact, that game was close. The Giants ran them close. You should not be concentrating on these trick plays, these razzle-dazzle, no-look throws. You should just be going back to basics and winning football games.
Which is uncharacteristic for Andy Reid, considering how good a coach you'd think he would have recognised the problems with what they're doing. And...
Which goes back to the Super Bowl, right? A lot of things happened that Super Bowl week, right? They lost half their offensive line. They played with a secondary offensive line. That was pretty terrible. The Bucs did what they wanted to do on them, right? But we still saw Mahomes, even though he was injured, with some mobility. He still got away. He still tried things. And listen, the pressure was kind of off in the fourth quarter. He's making those outrageous throws pretty much just off the ground because they pretty much lost the game at that point anyway. But Andy Reid's son was involved in a driving incident where he killed somebody and was later charged. So that's a distraction, which I don't think Andy Reid is fully over. That's clearly something in the background because his son worked for the team. That's something in the organization that is going on that's being dealt with in the background. And I'm not saying this is the reason why the Chiefs are 4-4, but I think there's a lot of things why the Chiefs are 4-4. I think there's distraction of the coach. I don't think people are prepared to stand up to Andy Reid. I think they go, you're this revolutionary coach. We can't really tell you otherwise. You got Eric Bieniemy, who for some reason cannot get a job as a head coach in the NFL. I want to know how bad he is at interviewing when you've got some of the players or some of the coaches, like Nick Sirianni. How is Nick Sirianni and his watering plant metaphors getting a job over Eric Bieniemy? Like, how bad is Eric Bieniemy in an interview to where Nick Sirianni's getting a job over him? Like, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so you got Eric Bieniemy pissed off he can't get a job. You got Andy Reid distracted. You got Patrick Mahomes hurt, and he clearly doesn't look like he's having any fun. You got a rebuilt offensive line he spent a lot of money on that looks busted. You got a defense that's pretty poor across the board. You got one or two decent players, but it's a pretty average, below average defensive unit. You know, the DBs are pretty bad. The linebackers are no good. Like, there's no pressure there. They can get run on. They can get passed on. No one's afraid of the Chiefs anymore because outside of Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, who's been injured, there isn't anyone all that special on that team. Travis Kelce gets catches because teams allow him to get catches.
Yeah, because if you want to beat us with a tight end over the middle, great.
Yeah.
We'll suck that up all day.
Like how many yards did Kelce get in the Super Bowl? 120, 130 yards? Bucks went, yeah, go on then. You can have your 15-yard plays over the middle because you're not going to score.
So it takes too long. You don't get far enough.
Yeah, exactly. We'll take away the big play. We're not going to give you the big play over the sideline. We're not going to give you 20, 30, 40-yard chunk plays. You can have 10, 12 yards over the middle for first downs. And you can have it between the 20s. And if you want to kick field goals, good luck to you. But you're not going to beat us by getting in the end zone. And, like, that's the thing with the Chiefs. They're pretty people that figured them out. Because they haven't done anything different over the last 3 years. They do some razzle-dazzle plays. And they don't have the personnel that was as good. Their running game is not as good as it was. They're, utility receivers. Say what you want about Sammy Watkins. Listen, I'm not a big Sammy Watkins fan. But Cole Hardman's not getting it done. DeMarcus Robinson's not getting it done. They don't have a secondary wide receiver. They're like, all right, go on then. You can stick whoever you want out there. We'll just double cover an injured Tyreek Hill. You can have your yards over the middle with Kelce. And you're playing Hurts, you're not going to beat us with the run. Like, he can't play action because he can't run.
Yeah.
So Mahomes can't display anyone. He can't sit there and go, okay, I'm going to play action fake and I'm going to scramble for yards because he can't run. He's hurt. Like, they're being figured out. And I still think, with Jordan Love, I'd still think that the Packers win this week because you've got Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones just goes nuclear this week.
And it wouldn't be a bad game plan because you're taking the pressure off of Jordan Love because he doesn't have to do as much.
No.
And then if he does, Devontae Adams has been activated off the COVID list, so you know that safe pair of hands is there, and he can run any route you want. Yeah. So you just tell him to run short ins or whatever and be open, even if you want to double in.
Just be friendly.
Yeah,
you got Lazard, you got Cobb, you got MVS.
Cobb's a thing again. That's mad.
Yeah, but he's been good. But, I mean, it's different because it's not Rodgers there. But you got an all right offensive line. He'll get some protection.
Tonyan's a big miss for them.
Yeah, I mean, he's not really been at it this year. The Packers' offense has been less efficient. That's not a surprise. They were the most efficient team in football last year in terms of scoring. That was always going to come down.
Their defense is pretty good, just looking at points against. They haven't allowed as many points. They're sort of middle of the road.
Yeah, I mean, they still give it up. Teams who can run the ball effectively will do damage on them. Their record is a strange one because they're 7-1, but they got blown out week 1 by the Saints. And then they've kind of, they beat Arizona, which was a statement win, but they haven't really played. They're in a poor division. You got the Bears. You beat Minnesota. All right, fine. I mean, Dallas beat Minnesota with Cooper Rush, so I've less. I've less and sorry, Vikings fans, but you shouldn't be losing to Cooper Rush.
It's funny how in college those sort of wins and losses against teams really matter when the playoff rankings and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you get the Vikings who lose to Dallas with Cooper Rush, and that would be a terrible loss on the schedule if it was required to be recorded.
It would be, but Minnesota are just I don't really know what's going on in Minnesota. They you look at that team on paper and you think that's a good team.
Yeah.
Like I look at that team and think it's a pretty good team. Right top to bottom roster, there aren't that many holes. You got a great running back. You got a decent quarterback. He's a top half. It's not that people don't love Kirk Cousins because he's not flashy, but he's a good He's a top 14, 15 quarterback in this league. Easily. Doesn't make that many mistakes.
That's the key.
Yeah,
It's not making the bad mistakes.
yeah. Listen, he's not flashy. He doesn't make many spectacular plays. His highlight reel is as interesting as a documentary on whale fat. But at the end of the but at the end of the day, he gets the job done. He's got two great receivers in Thielen and Jefferson. I said the offensive line, it's pretty good. Defensive line could be better, but it's not bad. I mean, I do think they struggle to get pressure, and that's an area that they should do better on.
Well, they're going to struggle now because Hunter's out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and so with Danielle Hunter out, they do struggle there, and they lost him last year, as well, and that was huge. And that was a huge loss because they tried to get Ngakoue in, and they ended up trading him to Baltimore. That was weird, But
and Everson Griffin wasn't there as well.
No, and they've got decent linebackers, but they get beat too easy over the top. With the DB room that they've got, I think schematically it's not working. They need to change something there. But I think it's too late. They're 4-3. They're 3-4. They could maybe sneak into 7th. You've got you've got a lot of 4-loss teams in the hunt for this 7th spot. You've got Carolina, who we don't know if they've got a quarterback going forward. Minnesota, the 49ers. I mean, the 49ers might get there. The Falcons, I don't see it. But, I mean, they don't have a wide receiver at all. The Eagles, they're not going to get there. I look at the Seahawks now thinking, well, if they get Dangerous back next week and they put a bit of a run together, because they're in a poor division. Well, they're not actually.
No, they're not. They're going to now struggle to catch the Cardinals and Rams.
I mean, they'd still have to play the Rams again, the Cardinals. That might be a struggle. I mean, I look at it.
That's a bet, though, if you fancy it, the Seahawks to make the playoffs.
I mean, they're not out of it. They're not out of it by any stretch. I don't really know. Like, look, the NFC is pretty straightforward, right? We know that the Saints realistically are going to be the 6th seed, right? I think that's the one thing we kind of know. They're probably going to be the 6th seed. Yeah. They're not going to get caught by the teams behind them, and I don't think they're going to win the division. So we know Green Bay are going to win the division. Like, they pretty much won the division. The Cardinals and the Rams are going to fight for that division. If Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins are out, it's advantage Rams. Rams will probably win that division. The Buccaneers will win their division. I know they lost to the Saints, but I'm pretty confident the Buccaneers will win the division. Dallas will. I mean, Dallas have won their division, right? We don't even need to put it. They got a 3-game lead in the division. They've got the worst division in football. Again. So you got the Packers. You got the Packers and the Cowboys who are going to win their divisions. You got the Buccaneers who will probably win their division. You've got the Cardinals and the Rams. Both of them will make the playoffs. One of them will be the top 4 seed. One of them will be the 5th seed. Saints being 6th. And then you got all those teams underneath playing for the 7th seed. I mean, this is where the 7th seed, people slated the 7th seed. At least now it makes the NFC interesting, because right now, if it was a 6th seed, like the old days, you'd go, well, you might as well just, all these games are mean, you might as well lock them up now, because no one else is going to catch them. I mean, you can say, oh, well, the Panthers are 1 game behind the Saints. They started 3-0.
They're heading in the wrong direction.
Yeah, they're 1-4 in the last 5 games. Like, they're not going anywhere. And I think Matt Rule's done a great job, and I think he's got the right thing to go for him. He just doesn't have a quarterback that's going to do the job. That's where the AFC is surprisingly a lot more interesting. There's a lot more things going on in the AFC than the NFC. But yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. But I look at the NFC right now and think we know who 3 of the 4 division winners are going to be.
Yeah.
And then we know the Saints are going to make the playoffs. And then the one who doesn't win the division out, the Rams and the Cardinals, is going to make the playoffs. So we just wait on that last one and see who triumphs through. But yeah, there is some subplots underneath going through in terms of how these teams are strengthened. The trade deadline's gone, but OBJ's hanging out there. Who's going to get OBJ? I mean, what are your boys' thoughts where OBJ lands? I mean, obviously, if you listen to this on the podcast, he's signed somewhere, and this conversation is probably completely moot. But
I've got a horrible feeling. I've got a really, really horrible feeling that the Dolphins will put in a waiver claim. And bear in mind, we sit second in the list right now.
But you can't afford him.
Yeah, but the cap space is fairly easy to come by.
But who would you cut? Let's say this. Let's play this hypothetical out.
At 1 and 7, I've got about 50 players that I'd cut
For OBJ, all right, but
not for. See, I don't want it.
I know. I know.
See, this is a very, very different thing. To me, he's the sort of player that the Patriots would sign.
Oh, please
And we still do everything the Patriots would do, and we're just ahead of them in the order. So I can see Brian Flores saying, "That's my kind of guy." He's a Albert Hainsworth, Chad Johnson, you name it that's gone to the Patriots. Never worked out, but they still do it.
But why?
I wouldn't do it. I think he's the most overrated player in football.
But in order for OBJ to go to the Dolphins, Stephen Ross is going to have to sign off on it.
Last week he was trying to sign an alleged sex offender. Alleged. I said alleged. But, our morals are fairly low right now.
1 and 7 low.
Our standards are pretty low. Like, we have a history of doing this stuff.
Yeah.
But you're right. You'd have to sign off on it. But, this is also the same guy that flirted with Jim Harbaugh whilst having a coach under contract. It's the same guy that basically stood on the sideline talking to Tua before drafting him when that's not allowed. As a Michigan alum standing on the Alabama sideline of a Michigan-Alabama game.
Yeah, questionable.
And then this week tried to make a phone call to Deshaun Watson. So,
wow, from all intents and purposes, that deal sounded quite close.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there was no chance I got done this season. That was too much had to happen.
How does the waiver thing work in the NFL? Is it the same as in fantasy football? Like if you make a claim, you go to the end of the list.
No, it's done on your order. So it's done on standings, but it's like over basically like a 4-week window, and then it updates kind of thing.
So say you're the worst team in the league
on
week 1, you get that priority for 4 weeks, and then it goes again.
No, so you will end up further back on. You will end up back at the list, but then in 4 weeks' time,
it resets. So then, okay.
So if the Dolphins, but then you got to remember right now that we're after the trade deadline, so that's the reason he has to clear waivers. So typically, what would happen is if this was the first half of the season, trade deadline hadn't happened. Odell Beckham Jr. as a vested veteran wouldn't go through the waiver process. He would just go straight to free agency because he's played in the league for 4 years. Whereas those that are under 4 years have to go through the waiver process. That's kind of what was agreed in the collective bargaining agreement as part of this way to get veterans in the league who have paid their dues to earn potentially more money, etc. But because the trade deadline has happened, he has to clear waivers. Now, the interesting thing, and the part that we do not know right now, and whenever anyone talks to you about the cap here, we do not know what Odell Beckham Jr.'s salary is right now, because when he was released by the Browns today, they reworked his contract.
But we don't know the details of that yet.
No. The league do.
And the team
So the teams who are thinking of making a waiver claim will know what his cap number is.
Because they have to be under the cap before making that claim.
Correct. So we know that he will not be what the contracted amount is out there, because the Browns will want to have reduced his salary, because when he doesn't, if he clears waivers, if he doesn't clear waivers, if someone claims him, the Browns do not have to pay OBJ another penny. But actually, they will do, because they've renegotiated the contract. But let's say hypothetically, they didn't touch his contract, right? If they didn't touch his contract, someone would have had to have taken him up for the full 13 odd million that his cap hit is this year, which made it only 3 teams that could get him, which the Broncos, the Dolphins, and the Jags. Not the Dolphins, the Jags.
Eagles, you said earlier?
The Eagles. It was the Jags, the Eagles, and the Broncos. Now, something tells me OBJ would not have agreed to a reduced salary that would put him on the radar of the worst NFL teams. No. Because he will pick where he wants to go. So, as I was saying earlier, what I think, and I don't know, I don't have an NFL insider, I'm not Ian Rappaport or anything like this.
I've seen you claim to be an NFL insider once or twice.
I am not. If I was the Browns, what I would have done is I would have pushed some money into signing, spread it over future years, reduced his cap number so that when he clears, we're not on for the full hook this year. We're on for, I don't know, 4 million or whatever we can afford to write off this year. We kick the money into the next couple of years evenly, easy spread. But what LBJ would have wanted was a roster bonus of something stupid. 3 million a game, 2 million a game, whatever it would have taken. So that if it goes, oh, the Jags are going to claim him. Okay, well, if you're going to claim him, every week he's on your roster, you got to pay him $1 million. No thanks. Because they'll want him to clear, because when he clears, the contract dies. It's finished.
So then it's just...
So then he can negotiate a free market deal with the teams he wants to play for. So the only way the Dolphins go in for OBJ is if they're willing to do this absurd thing. Well, I mean, look, we don't know this has happened. Right. This is conjecture on my part, but if you're OBJ, I don't understand why you would agree to do the Browns a favor and kick the money in the signing bonus. Because you're going to get the money anyway.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of whether you... Well, no, but he's going to get it from the Browns. If they kick it in the signing, it's not like this whole, oh, I get this money now. If he clears waivers, he gets the money. Yeah, if he doesn't clear waivers, someone's going to pay him the salary. So he's not getting a massive benefit. Whereas he will say, well, I'll agree to this, but this is what I want in return, because I don't want to be claimed. I want to hit free agency, and I want to choose where I want to go. And I reckon they work something out, because that's why it would take 2 days. Because if you're going to cut him, you just cut it, right?
And the game the Browns are playing is trying to make that contract tempting enough for someone to pick it up.
Yeah, and
I
think that's
some of that money. That's the game. Can we tempt someone into claiming him?
Yeah,
because we don't care where he ends up.
Yeah,
we couldn't trade him, so we don't care where he goes. We just want to try and lose some of this money to somebody else rather than it coming back for us.
And I think that's what it is. So maybe they've agreed on a fee that makes it ridiculous for OBJ to get money, but at the same point, it's still attractive enough to someone like a Shad Khan in Jacksonville is thinking, do you know what? I'll make the money back on advertising anyway. If I have to pay OBJ $500,000 a week, then so be it. Who knows?
How fascinating.
We'll find out. We'll find out in a couple of days if it clears waivers.
So is that from today? 2 days from today?
So by Monday we should know where we're at already.
Theoretically, if somebody does sign him off waivers, can he play Sunday?
No, because he didn't hit waivers till today.
Yeah, so he won by
because it's after game week day.
Because the transaction wouldn't be officially put through by the NFL until
next game week,
until Tuesday. So no,
sense.
He wouldn't.
That means you won't actually find out who's claimed him until then either.
Unless the team leak it.
Somebody's sporting a Jacksonville Jaguar jersey at the weekend in a box that says Beckham.
There is somewhere in a social media department in a team somewhere
wouldn't-
currently putting stuff together.
I wouldn't put it past Urban Meyer.
No.
I mean, it would be one heck of a distraction. It'd be an expensive distraction
To be fair,
to his
though,
own PR disaster.
That's what I mean. Like, if you want to take the heat off yourself, bring in OBJ. There you go. That's a great piece of coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, not football coaching though.
Yeah, football's out the window at this stage.
PR coaching from Urban Meyer. Yeah.
I don't think the man's mastered PR in his time in college.
Well, so Beckham gets to agree his own deal if he clears waivers.
Yep.
Therefore, essentially, anybody who offers him good money, he can go and play for.
It might not even be money at this stage. Because he would have got paid by the Browns. So he could effectively sign. He could effectively say, well, do you know what? I'm going to this year, I want a ring. I have a ring. I can go, I'll take the league minimum around $700,000 prorated, so he'll get half that-ish. So $350K. And go and sign with the Saints or the Packers or...
which I'm sure he'd love to go back to Louisiana.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's...
Is that where he's from? I know he went to
He went to
LSU.
college there. He's got ties there. The Saints make sense.
For sure.
It's a strange one. I don't really know where he goes. I think you can rule. There's some teams. So let's say, for example, he's going, I want to go to a contender. Right? The Raiders make sense.
They've had some stories recently.
After what's happened this week, the Raiders make sense.
Receiver?
I think the Ravens make sense, although I don't know if he wants to go. I think the Bills makes a degree of sense.
Imagine.
I think he's a massive upgrade on Cole Beasley. Even
Cole
though
Beasley does like what the Bills is. He is the slot man for the Bills and does their job perfectly.
I mean, imagine the Chiefs.
Yeah.
There's your second wide receiver.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean,
Green Bay.
The Packers make so much sense. It's almost too logical.
There's a lot of places you could slot him in at that price point and say, you've got nothing to lose. We're contenders.
I would say, I could say right now, it's unlikely he'd go to the Cowboys. It's unlikely he'd go to the Buccaneers. It's probably unlikely he'd go to the Cardinals.
Or the Rams.
Well, the Rams, I could see it because it's the sort of thing the Rams would do.
It's a Rams thing.
It is a Rams thing. I mean, let's not forget that the Rams have given up every draft pick until 2091.
That's because they did such a bad job at drafting Jared Goff. They were like, we're terrible at this. We're not doing it again.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I mean, I have to really praise Denver for the Von Miller deal. So, trade deadline. I know Denver fans are probably really upset that Von Miller has left Denver for a second and a third round pick. The guy was out of contract this year, right? And then everyone's going, well, wait a minute. Denver are going to pay $9 million of his contract to go. Well, that's because not many teams had cap. And you have to look at it and go, I think a second and a third for a player who's going to be out of contract in 2 months, 3 months, is very good. It's very good. And effectively, what you've done is you've bought the draft picks. I actually think John Elway. Yeah, I got to say John Elway. Right, he gets a lot of stick. I looked at that deal and I went, that made a lot of sense.
How much of that's George Payton, though?
Maybe George Payton was responsible because if you look at it, right, remember when the Browns paid $16 million, i.e., Brock Osweiler. That's a tongue twister. Brock Osweiler's contract for a second.
Yep.
Denver have just paid $9 million for a second and a third next year.
Yep. It's a bargain.
It's great economy of business. Like you look at it and go, Von Miller's not going to be on the team. Obviously, he's not going to sign. Like, you're not going to sign Von Miller.
Yeah.
So he's going anyway. You making the playoffs this year? No. You're going to need to be in a rebuild next year. So why not get the capital
Picks
now?
are more valuable next year than cap is this year.
Exactly. Especially if you're not going to win this year. I thought it was really good business.
You either needed to be completely in on trying to get a Deshaun Watson in and trying to change things completely.
Yeah.
Or you become a seller. That's what they did.
Yeah. And
also,
listen,
it gives a legend of the team a chance to go and win again somewhere else. Like you haven't traded him to Jacksonville. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. It also seems player friendly as well.
Yeah, and listen, I think they did good business on Kenny Young, paying a fifth for him.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. I like some of the moves they've done in terms of building, future-proofing this squad going forward with picks and whatnot. But yeah, I go back to Denver now and think, if I have to watch Pat Shurmur offenses again, like man's got to go. Like he's got to go. I don't care how, right? But Pat Shurmur offenses are awful. It was awful at the Giants. It was awful to watch at the Giants with the great talent he had. You look at the offense, right? Forget the quarterback situation. I know Teddy's not great, but he's fine. He's a serviceable quarterback, right? And then you've got Cortland Sutton, Jerry Judy. Yes, granted, Jerry Judy's been on IR. You've got Noah Fant. You've got Albert O. You've got Tim Patrick, very underrated wide receiver. Right? You've got Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams. What are you doing? Like you can't ask for better offensive weapons. You look at Denver's offense on paper, top 10 offense.
It's good.
Top 10 offense, easy. So why are they a bottom 10 offense with top 10 offense personnel? It's scheme.
Yeah. But we had this conversation when we went out for dinner before the season started, and I said, start Teddy. Everyone knows what Teddy is.
Yeah.
Teddy's going to be Teddy. But if the rest of the team isn't playing to its potential, you get a 4-4 team like you currently are now. Whereas if you'd have played Drew Lock, yes, you might be in a worse situation, but you could have been in a better situation because he's maybe better to utilize those weapons. But then if it comes down to Pat Shurmur, it doesn't matter who's there.
I'm pretty sure stepmom Lauren owes me something. I'm pretty sure we did a bet, and I said Drew Lock would not be the starting quarterback at the Denver Broncos this year.
There was definitely a bet.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm owed something. I have to go back and listen to the episode
we could just hit her up and ask her.
Yeah.
She'll probably deny all knowledge, knowing that she's lost. So
I definitely called that Drew Lock would not be the quarterback.
Yeah, I can't remember what.
I don't know. We'll find that one out. But look, I think Pat Shurmur should go. I think Vic Fangio goes.
Yeah, he's definitely done.
And it's now about who comes in and buys the Broncos. Is it going to be Bezos? Is it going to be who knows? But
does it matter at this point who the buyer is though? Because if you buy something new, you want it to be exciting when you buy it. So regardless of who comes in, surely there's going to be, well, this record's not great. Why is it not great? Then you have somebody in your ear who's perhaps a neutral advisor saying, well, your offense is great. Therefore, it must be a scheme thing. That's what you'd like to happen, because then you know that
it's got to be a scheme thing. Because again, I look at the Broncos roster. I appreciate that the linebacker position has been completely decimated. I think you've gone through 374 linebackers this season, or however many it is. You've got
one for every day of the week.
You pretty much have gone through. I mean, like I know
Stokes isn't fair. He's just waiting for a tryout.
I know. That's why you got the jersey on.
You've come back. Just give me a chance, coach.
Yeah. I mean, like. I know Vic Fangio is going to ask for another linebacker this Christmas because he hasn't got anyone else. But I think I look at the paper. I look on paper at the Denver Broncos roster and think, actually, with how bad the Chiefs have been, you probably should have won the division.
Yeah.
For me, the fact is, you've got a better roster than the Raiders. You've got a better roster on paper. Than the Raiders.
Yeah.
Right? They don't even have a head coach right now. They're being coached by an assistant head coach because they've got fired in some weird NFL controlling power play by Roger Goodell that he can just make things happen like a puppeteer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I look at that and think, if you had said to me that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be 4-4 after 8 weeks, and I'd just gone on paper and didn't know who the coaches were and hadn't watched any of the games, I'd have looked at that and gone, well, okay, the Broncos are going to win the division. And what's weird is you still can. You're one game out.
That's it.
Well, 1.5 games out. But I can't see it.
No, it's mental. And it wouldn't have made any difference had we have drafted Justin Fields at 9 because Pat Shermer would have ruined him.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't.
It's a strange division you're in because I look at it now and think the Chargers are going to win the division. I don't think it'll be the Raiders. I just think it will fall out for them. I do think they can make the playoffs, obviously, but I think I look at the teams now and think the Chargers will probably win the division. Just because I think they haven't been great and they're still 4-3.
Mm.
And I think they'll get it
They
together.
can get better.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I look now at these teams. I think the Raiders are playing about as well as they can play.
Yeah, they're maxed out.
I think they're maxed out. All right, they're 5-2. There's some fair play to them. They've done, with all the adversity of everything that's going on, they've done really well to get to that position. I also think they've had a pretty tough schedule. Yeah. That's really helped. I look at the Chargers. The Chargers' biggest fear right now and the biggest problem they have is they can't stop the run. You can put 200 yards on the ground against them with pretty average running backs. If they sort that out, they will probably win the division. I can't see the Chiefs with their schedule and what's going on winning the division. And then you've got the Broncos, who probably of those 4 teams right now probably have the best complete roster. And they're probably going to come last. It just baffles me that we're sitting here in 2021 with these great coaches available, and we've got to put up with Pat Shermer and Vic Fangio as a coaching duo. Like, come on already! Like, let's just get some excitement going. I don't know. Yeah, I feel sorry for Denver.
Thanks.
I feel sorry for them because they've got a good team. I mean, the AFC's weird because you've got 2 divisions that are done in terms of winners, right? The Tennessee Titans, I think, are like 93% to win the division or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
Because they've got a 3-game lead and they own the tiebreakers.
2 game.
Well, 2.5 because, the Colts won last night. So they played a game more. But they have a 3-game lead in the division if they win this week. And they own the tiebreaker because they beat the Colts twice. So they don't even have to. So it's really an extra game. So you're talking about almost 4 games.
They are playing the Rams this week.
Yeah, okay. So maybe if they lose that, it goes back to 2. It goes back to 2 with a tiebreaker 3. It's still a long difference to come up with. And they're going to win the division without Derrick Henry. It's going to be tough, but they'll be fine. You've got the Bills. The Bills are going to hold off the Patriots and win the East, right? I think the Bills have been a bit tricky, but I think they'll be fine. The Patriots, I think, are defensively well organized, but I can't see Mac Jones. I mean, the Buffalo Bills have a point differential total of 120 plus. Like they are literally hammering teams that they play. The defense is so good. It's probably the best defense in football in terms of points allowed. They've played some easy games.
It is the best team in football points allowed by a considerable margin.
But having said that, I think they've got every ingredient to win. I mean, they'll win the division. I don't think anyone's shot they'll win the division. So the South and the East are done. The West is in play. Everybody's within a game and a half.
The North's fun.
That is the best division in football. I don't care what anyone says. I mean, you're looking at that division now. You've got the Ravens at 5-2, the Bengals at 5-3, the Steelers at 4-3, the Browns at 4-4. I mean, they're all good teams. You've got Bengals Browns this week. That is really good. And obviously, if you're listening to this on the pod, you'll know the result of this one.
No spoilers, please.
But obviously, for me, this is a really important week for the Browns. If the Browns lose, they're done. I think you can write them off and say they're done because they lost to Pittsburgh last week. Dull game, one of the worst games I've seen in quite some time. And I look at them and think, well, okay, you've already lost to Baltimore, you've lost to the Steelers. And all right, you get to play these teams again, but you can't get the tiebreakers. But the best you can do is split them. And then it goes on conference record, then you've got to overhaul the games. I think you're in a really difficult spot. I mean, like, you look at the Bengals are 3-1 in the conference, the Ravens are 4-2 in the conference. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 3-2 in the conference. The Browns are 2-3 in the conference. So you're looking at all these different factors. they go under 500 with 8 games to go. I don't know. I think it's too far to come back.
Something feels weird about the Browns. Something feels like they're teetering on the edge. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just because Odell's been in the news this week. I don't know.
Well, the Odell Beckham situation is weird, right? You get a guy, and listen, let's get one thing straight: that the people at the Browns organization, none of the people currently in charge of the hierarchy, Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski, were part of this trade to bring in Odell Beckham Jr. from the Giants, right? So they're not married to him,
no,
as opposed to if they had traded him in. So clearly they realize he's misfit. He's not giving them any production. Right, so he's not giving him any production as it is. He's pretty much a luxury player. They've tried to trade him. No one wants him on his contract, which makes sense. Mm-hmm. But it was the way it all blew up. It was the way of they couldn't keep a lid on this. Odell's dad and LeBron James weighing in saying free OBJ. Like, that's just weird. Like, when stuff like this happens, you have to question the leadership at the club, because you have to question how it's been allowed to get this bad. We saw it with Antonio Brown last year with the Raiders, right? The whole thing played out on Hard Knocks, and he does that video celebration, he gets released, right? And then 6 months later, he's lifting a Lombardi trophy. Like, it's literally baffling how some teams and some coaches can handle these players, and some absolutely crack. And I'm not saying that Odell Beckham Jr. is faultless in any of this, because he's not. He's obviously a difficult individual to manage. But I do think it's difficult when you can't manage that situation. They obviously decided they couldn't. They get rid of him. And I just think, they're talking about paying Baker Mayfield $30-35 million a year. That's a horrific decision.
Yeah. But I think the other thing that comes into play is you're probably going to end up seeing the problem with Jarvis Landry.
Yeah,
he's not going to be happy this has gone down this way.
No,
that's his best mate. He's very vocal about getting him to Cleveland in the first place. He's capable of kicking up a stink, and I think it's the next thing to come. I don't know. It just feels like you get a loss this week, and this team could be one of those that spirals out of control quicker. Yeah. Where at the end of the season you're saying, how did that get so bad so quickly?
Yeah, I think it's been a building of things. I think Baker Mayfield isn't managed properly. I think this offense has clearly struggled when they're losing one of their key running backs. Then you've got challenges, behavioral issues. And before you know it, you're talking about, Kevin Stefanski was coach of the year last year. He's got effectively the same team, right? He didn't really lose anyone major in the offseason. It's pretty much the same team. So how has he gone with the same roster, barring a few, gone from, and you're laughing because obviously the Dolphins are in a very similar situation. You have to question, how is it that a second-year coach can do such a great job in year one? I mean, with Flores is his third year, so a bit different, but how things can go so right one year with the same group of players. We were talking about this off air with the Dolphins, that the Dolphins is different because Ryan Fitzpatrick elevated the team. I'm 100% convinced. It might sound like I was joking when I said it earlier, but he elevated the team. He's not doing that now because he's not on the team. I do think the whole situation with Tua was mismanaged.
Oh, yeah.
Because
we're the team that likes to flirt with other people's girlfriends.
Yeah, but I mean, but
we have a history of it, and it's there's a lot of narrative in the media that says you should feel sorry for Tua. Tua was that guy beforehand that we were flirting with. Like, they did it to you, they'll do it against you. Do you know what I mean?
But I do think it's weird. Listen, I think the whole thing is weird with Tua, right?
Yeah.
He comes out on a show and admits that last season he didn't know the playbook. Right? I don't care if he knew it or not. You don't admit that sort of thing.
No.
Right? That doesn't go down well. That makes Brian Flores look incompetent.
Yeah.
It makes his quarterback coach look incompetent. It's not going to win you any friends in the organization. Then, I don't know what the official turn of events is, whether he wasn't offered the opportunity to be a captain by his peers, or he was offered the chance to be the captain by his peers, but was so pissed off with what happened with the Deshaun Watson rumors and the fact that he wasn't publicly backed by the organization as early as he was, that he turned down being a captain for the team. I don't know which one of those is true.
He says that he didn't want to be a captain.
Yeah, he says he doesn't want to be a captain. I've not heard anything to refute that, but I find it sensational that you've been offered a captainship by your peers and you turn it down because you're annoyed at the organization for flirting with someone else.
I mean, I think, hey, we'll find out pretty quickly this week.
Yeah.
He's got a finger injury. If you want to stick it to the organisation, sit this week.
Yeah.
Because...
But he's playing for his career. He's playing for his career. He can't afford to sit.
I mean, what are they going to do to him to make it any worse?
Bench him?
That's what I mean. Himself. Like, he's not good. Right now, no one thinks he's any good anyway. So, what you...
So here's a question for you.
You played a team that hadn't won in 20, couldn't win. I'm not sure how... I mean, I am a Tua fan. I've got no problem with Tua. And I have all the way through his process I'm absolutely fine with it. He's an accurate quarterback. Give me Chad Pennington back. My favourite player to watch as a Dolphin because he got it done.
Yeah.
Like, you know, plenty of people want to say, oh, Tua can't throw the deep ball. That's fine. We don't run anyone deep.
Wow.
We you know,
yeah.
3rd and 10 the other day, we had three wide receivers break yards off at 3 yards. 3 yards. Like, you don't see, when you watch Shield 22, you don't see players screaming open down the field. It just doesn't happen because we don't run them far enough. We've got the most putrid offense in all of football. It's awful. I
mean, your offensive line is bad.
Oh, yeah.
All the draft picks you've invested in your offensive line, it is bad. Your running game is non-existent.
Absolutely no doubt in my mind that between the three of us, we probably get 3 starting jobs on the O-line.
No, I'm too small.
The line, yeah.
You see Ed Oliver kill Tua in week 2?
I mean,
you could do better because you've been in the way at least.
I just don't understand with all the draft picks. I look at every room on the Dolphins roster, right? I look at the DB room. The DB room is by far the best room
because you paid for it,
and you paid through the nose for it, and you've got Xavier Howard wants to trade, and he's incredibly annoyed by it. Linebacker room, poor. Defensive line, yeah, below average to average. Yeah, below average to average. But all right, it's not going to win you any awards, but it's probably not the worst room in the world. Offensive line, arguably the worst in football. Can't move the ball. Running back room is lacking any form of inspiration whatsoever. Quarterback room is questionable. Wide receiver room is questionable. I mean, you've done well to get Waddle, and he looks like a star. Yeah. But you got Devonta Parker, he's had 1 decent year in 6. You got a 7th round Preston Williams with an attitude problem. You signed Will Fuller,
the great Will Fuller,
who it's just it gets more laughable every single week how and why you signed him. I mean, I guess the only thing with him being on IR is you pay him an injury settlement and don't have to pay him as much. You got a good tight end who you don't use for the fact.
He'll walk in free agency.
But he'll walk in free agency. Yeah, I mean, but with all these picks, you know, we talk about it, how many first-round picks, 3 first-round picks last year.
This is why
you danced around the draft board this year when you could have gone at 3. You could have gone and got, you know, you could have got Penei Sewell, which would have made sense. And then you dance around the board. You moved down to 6. You still could have got Penei Sewell. You still.
Jalen Waddle was that pick 6 months. Like,
I get it.
Pick, which is the exact reason Watson was never coming in before the end of the season. You can't do it. He's still going to be there at the end of the season.
I don't know what the Miami Dolphins can do going forward because you don't even have that many. You don't have that many assets you can trade.
No, you're playing cap space next year. You've got nothing that's worth bringing anything in. Let's be honest. There's no one on the roster to trade for other than Byron Jones and Xavier Howard. Outside of that, there's no one you'd give up anything for. So, Mike Gesicki's going to walk anyway. So, you know, end of contract.
So let me ask you a question.
Go on.
Is Tua starting quarterback of the Miami Dolphins in 2022.
Yes.
What makes you say that?
Because he's been good enough to be. Simple as that. If you've watched every play of his,
Yeah.
This week will be his 16th game, so one season's worth of games. The stats go to prove that he's played well enough with the worst team in football. If you want to do a quick comparison to from a quarterback point of view, and this is my real sticking point with it, just look how bad they were with Jacoby Brissett. It was noticeably worse. The quarterback is not the problem right now. There is a heap of problems. He isn't it.
No.
Now, I'll tell you the other one. You've made this mistake before. Who likes Ryan Tannehill right now? I told you he could play when he was a Dolphin. Yes, he's got more talent around him. Put the talent around the quarterback. Who thought that was a good idea? Only every team that's ever played. You can repeat the same mistake if you want, but give the guy 2 seasons. If he doesn't pan out, fine. But I'm certainly not plowing 3 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a third into Deshaun Watson.
Well, yeah, I mean,
then I've got nothing else to build with because it'll be Deshaun Watson and me, Stokes. The rest of the 5 yard team, that's probably the offense. And there's a chance we play 2 ways.
it brings to the point now about hot seats, right? So we've already lost John Gruden this year
we've lost him.
It's gone. He's disappeared from the NFL for good. Due to his misdemeanors over email. And the NFL weaponizing those to remove him. I mean, if I was the Raiders right now, I would probably be. If I was Mark Davis, I wouldn't shock me if Mark Davis has decided he's going to just attack the NFL and find a way to really sort of get back at them, because I know he feels aggrieved. I'm not defending John Gruden, but the timing of the emails coming out is weird, bizarre, suspect. And then obviously the Henry Ruggs thing is very difficult. And they had to do what was right for the organization by cutting him. But I've no doubt as well the NFL said, we don't want to deal with this. Make sure you cut him. That conversation happened. I don't care if anyone wants to admit it or not. But obviously there's a vacancy there. Brian Flores has got to be in the hot seat. You don't go from 10 wins to 1-7 and expect there to at least not be a conversation.
I think there's a conversation, and I know I'm in the minority, but I'm letting him play out the rest of his contract for the reason that you've got no assets. Given the next 2, you put yourself in this position, try and get yourself out of it. We've been down this road of hiring a rookie head coach, watching the team play well for a year, watching them play bad for a year, firing the head coach, getting a rookie head coach, watching them play well for it. If you want to try and break the cycle, do something different. I don't believe that Brian Flores, the guy who took the team that everyone expected to win 1 game and won 5 with, and everyone expected to win 5 games and won 10 with, and let's be honest, was rightly talked about as a coach of the year candidate, suddenly forgot how to coach football. I don't think he's forgotten how to coach football to a 1-7 level.
No.
And if I want to break the cycle, do something different. There's a reason that all the head coaches get two cracks at the NFL. It's usually because they're fired too quickly after the first one.
Yeah.
The organisations that are good are the ones that ride out some of these rough patches. Yes, this is worse than most. And like you say, conversations have to have happened. But the Dolphins also hit a part of their schedule now again where you could easily string 4 or 5 wins together, and all of a sudden you cover up some horrific.
And I think this part of the schedule determines whether he gets a job next year. Because do you know what? It's not even the fact that look, we talked about the roster. The roster's not great, but he is a defensive head coach.
Yes,
that defense. You got the DB room. It's probably the best DB room in football. But the rest of that defense is horrific, and it's not just talent. Talent is one thing, but schematic. I'm sorry. I watched the Dolphins against the Bucs, right? And I've never seen a team just lick their lips and think. I genuinely thought the Buccaneers were going to score every drive, and at one point they were.
I think it was only one drive.
I think it was 2. Yeah. They didn't. But I mean, they punted once in the entire game. Like, I just sit there and you think, and it was so easy. Like, it wasn't even like I've never seen a team score points as easily as the Buccaneers did that afternoon, where they just sat there and they were like, we're just gonna eat clock and we're just gonna get 15 yards here, 20 yards here. And literally Brady could just do whatever he wanted. It was like, in fact, he's probably had tougher scrimmages this year. And you sit there and you think, you're a defensive coach who knows the quarterback. Like, he knows the quarterback. And you're sitting there thinking, like, how are you not getting any play on the ball? Like, how are you not forcing at least Brady to throw on the run or throw it away or pressuring the quarterback or making a play in coverage or just even covering men? I'm like, Antonio Brown, he just could literally do what he wanted all afternoon. I mean, like it just baffles me how you, like,
go from being almost a number one defensive football last year.
Look at the Jags game. Look at, like, that Dolphins defense last year would not have lost that game. Like, that final drive was horrific. It was horrific. It was poorly, but it's coaching. Like, you can sit here and say that the players are bad. Yeah, I look at the Lions, right? The Lions, that is the worst roster in football.
Yeah.
Top to bottom is like, I look at that room and think, I look at all the rooms on that team and think, what parts of that offense or defense would I want to put on another team? There are probably 2 players on that roster who right now I think are probably worthy of getting on the other 31 teams. DeAndre Swift and TJ Hawkinson. That's probably it. And yet, yes, they're 0-8. Yes, okay, last week they got absolutely mullered by the Eagles. But I looked at them against the Rams and I thought, well, they're trying. They are that bad, but schematically they caused problems. Yeah. They caused problems. Yes, the Rams won the game. Yes, it never really was overly in doubt. But they still, I look at the coaching and think he coached that team to the best of its ability, and they still lost the game. That's when it's a talent problem. Yeah. When you can coach as good a game as you can coach, you can execute fake punts, you can execute onside kicks, you can execute screens and defensive mismatches and coverages like he was doing in that game. You can coach as great a game as you can coach and still lose. That points to talent. When you can't coach, like, you just look at mismatch every single week. I look at that Dolphins defense, and the only time I've been impressed with them was last week. Yeah. Against the Bills. It was the only time.
Which is the first time Brian Flores called the defense.
And if that's what it is.
Which is ridiculous because, just do it. Yeah. Just call the defense. Like, I understand that the irony being that with most young head coaches, it's the opposite problem. We want them to stop calling their side of the ball and hand it off to a coordinator. But this ain't working, Chief. So put someone else in. Like, do it yourself. Because last week, they caused the Bills problems. For 3 quarters, it was a problem. They should have been up 13-3 at the half.
Yeah, they should.
Bills fans booing before half time. Like, it was an impressive start. but again, comes the fourth quarter, back to playing off, giving space. Cole Beasley running around with no one anywhere near him. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's making some sort of protest to the GM, whether he's not getting something he wants. It's like, here's what you could have. But at the same time, here's what you're getting. I don't know. Yeah. It's a bizarre situation, but with all the assets you've given up, all the players you've got under contract, I'm letting these 2 figure it out for another year. You put yourselves in this position. I've got, your only other option is to get rid of clear basically everything, get rid of any talent you've got, and then try and rebuild with less resources. You couldn't do it with all the resources, so I'm not sure how doing it with none's going to go any better.
I mean, there's some coaches on the hot seat, right? Brian Flores, David Culley at the Texans, and I don't think it's his fault. But
that was a dead man walking job in the first place.
Absolutely.
Like, you're there because they had to field a head coach.
Yeah, I think they're in a real bind. I don't know what they do going forward. Urban Meyer with his indiscretions, I don't know. I get the feeling that if he continues to lose, he'll walk anyway.
He'll make that easy. It'd be a health concern.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
allergic to
I'll blame
winning.
it on stress. We talked about Vic Fangio and Pat Shermer. I think they're in real trouble. Obviously, the Raiders' job is in play.
Yeah.
I think Dan Campbell, even if he goes 0-17, probably keeps his job.
Yeah, because they're playing to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
That's all you can ask.
I mean, they didn't last week, but they've definitely shown flashes, and like they haven't got a quarterback, so like they need to solve that problem.
I think they probably will with the number 1 pick unless they want Thibodeau.
Well, do you go quarterback with the number 1 pick? I wouldn't this year.
No, yeah.
Didn't work out so well when they picked Jared Goff. When the Rams
No.
Well, yeah, that's to be fair. That was
anyway.
Rams' problem, not the Lions' problem.
I mean, you look at that draft class and you think that was bad. I think this one coming in could be worse. Joe Judge, I think, probably survives, but I do think
It's warm.
I do think Mr. Clappy Hands probably goes from the offensive coordinator position. I do think that it's about time we got rid of Jason Garrett.
Agreed.
I don't think you get rid of Ron Rivera. I don't think you can anyway with everything that's going on with the team. Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace. I mean, if anyone deserves to lose a job, it's Matt Nagy.
He's been
You get the
declared.
feeling he won't.
No,
That's the problem.
I weirdly think he's going to keep his job another year. Nick Sirianni might just win enough games to keep his job. I really don't get why he was hired. I really don't get it. I look at all the hires that came in last year, right? David Culley. I just don't think you could get anyone else, right?
Yeah.
At the Texans.
Yeah.
So I think
It's a unique situation.
it's a unique situation. I think you just get a guy who's like, do you know what? I've been in this league 20, 30 years. I've earned a head coaching job. I'm just going to take it because I'm not going to get another one. And I can't get him for that. Urban Meyer, I don't think it's going to pan out. But I'm biased because I can't stand Urban Meyer. Robert Saleh, jury's out for me. I just think that defense is so bad. With all the investment it's had, it's still they have days where it looks good, but yeah, I question that one a little bit. Dan Campbell, who I was weirdly against, I just didn't really like what he stood for. Actually, weirdly, has impressed me, despite being 0-8, because I actually think he's got the stones. Arthur Smith, I do like as a coach. I think he's starting to make an impact at the Falcons, and now you've lost Ridley for an indeterminate amount of time. That's going to be a tough gig. But I mean, I think he does enough to get his job back next year, for sure. I think that's it for the new coaches. Now I'm not missing anyone else, am I?
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, I think that's it for new coaches. So, I think Denver. I think Denver. There's going to be a change. I think Houston. There'll be a change. I think Jacksonville. There could be a change. Chicago. There needs to be a change, whether or not we get it. Oh yeah, the Eagles. Nick Sirianni. I think Nick Sirianni is probably the worst hire of all the new hires last year. Oh, the Chargers. Brandon Staley. I think Brandon Staley's been good. I just think they need to do a little bit more on offense, but I think he's been pretty good.
But as usual, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, true.
because everyone wants the hot guy out there. Everyone will still want Eric Bieniemy for the 5th year in a row, and we'll still have to explain why he's not got a job. You know, the new quarterback, new coach doesn't mean instant wins.
No, it doesn't.
It sounds good when you're losing, but the following year when you're still losing, it's not any better.
It's almost too obvious.
You've been quiet over there.
I've just been taking it all in. Just been listening. You guys have been waxing lyrical, so
look,
I've been learning.
It's obviously, if you're listening to the pod, it's been 500 episodes of this.
Yep.
I don't think everyone has been here since episode 1. If it has, then I think there's many people who have missed the.
If you have listened since episode 1, I salute you, sir.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for the hundreds, if not thousands, of hours that you've spent listening to us.
Thousands. There's a few gone over an hour. I think it's like 700, I reckon.
Yeah, maybe. There's been some short ones. I don't know actually what it is.
This one's clocking up towards the total, though.
Oh.
Yeah.
what about? So look, I know the story, obviously, but you. For those that don't know, you started 5-year-old. Me and Lee were not part of this equation when this started. So look, why? First of all, why did you decide to start a podcast? And then, secondly, where did the name come from?
Don't know. Well, so interestingly, we just started a podcast because it would be fun to talk about our league. That was it. We had a podcast basically for 8 people.
So who's
10 people.
we?
So me and Sparky, and then everyone who's in my home league. Pitsy and Tom are now in it. Steve's still in it. Was Max in it at the beginning? Yeah, Max was in it at the beginning. Josh was in it at the beginning. Stuart was in it at the beginning. Basically family and friends, or just family of friends. And then me and Sparky decided to, we'd had no real NFL experience, and we just started talking smack about the league. And that's where it went from, really. And it was just, we went into a guitar in Epsom, bought a little audio interface, which is now heading up north. And then Amazon, couple of mics. In fact, we only had one mic at the beginning. It was one mic in the middle of the table. There was one computer with a split screen. Sparky just used to read my notes, and that was how it went. And funnily enough, Pitsy and Rob, they do one for their home league at their work and stuff. And it's just a good excuse for them to trash talk everyone in their league. But that's not safe for work, that one. There's no hoots are given on that one. It's not a enterprising adventure like this one is. That's just a couple of mates talking whack. And then 5-Yard Rush, I think it came up because it was catchy. I think a 3-word title was always good. And I it just hit me one day on a mower. Feels like a decent amount of yardage to get on it. Just rang true, and that was it. And then when I finished it off by saying keep rushing, afterwards Sparky gave me a whole load of stick because that was incredibly embarrassing. And here we are 4 or 5 years later, still doing it every day. So
499 episodes later.
Yeah. Cheers, Sparky. Thanks for that. Yeah, mate. You called that one wrong, didn't you?
Yeah. He called many things wrong, that boy. But to be fair to him, he's chugging along at the moment.
So how long was it between the first episodes of 5-Yard, when you were talking about your league, and then
but we didn't even start beginning of the season. We started in week 10. So I think it was because there'd been a lot of chat in the Facebook message, because at that time it was on Sleeper, but no one used the Sleeper thing, like they still don't. It was on Facebook Messenger, and there was a lot of chat on there, and we thought, I can't remember whether I listened to a podcast and thought I can do that, or whether I just thought this podcasting stuff. Because when we started, there wasn't anyone else. I said, no, that's not true. There was all the other big podcasts and stuff. But it wasn't like you can do now. Now you can just pick up your phone with Anchor and you can record using and it's done.
Yeah.
Whereas you had to upload it to Podbean, and it was a bit more in depth, and you couldn't edit it on your phone. You had to do it on a computer. And it wasn't, I'm not saying that any Tom, Dick and Harry can podcast now, well, they can. But at the time, I'm not saying we was a pioneer because we've relied loads of people, but we were one of the early people, novice podcasters it was, and we just thought this would be fun. It was a good excuse to get together as well. Like see your mate once a week, and he used to come around for dinner, and we'd have a beer, bring a sweet of the week as well. We had a bowl that that turned out to be an audio nightmare with one mic in the middle, so that quickly got shelved, and it just ran on from there really. And then I don't know, we maybe. Did you come in season 2?
Yeah. So I think the first episodes got lost. There's the Super Bowl one, and you did a few in the off season.
Yeah, we didn't do many in the off season because there really wasn't much to talk about.
And then Sparky started his own company, or was starting his own company.
Yeah.
And we'd started talking. So the background is Stocks and I play in another home league together. And we'd met at the draft, I think, the year before, 2 years before. Because
year before.
You were invited because you Andre was your at the time.
I was like,
brother. It was not brother-in-law, but it was a
we
weird...
I was dating Andre's partner's cousin.
That's it.
So yeah, that's how I got.
Which that obviously is not a thing anymore. But then that's how you and Josh joined the league. Only Josh didn't come.
Josh joined the year
Oh
after.
no, Sparky. It was you and Sparky, but Sparky didn't come to the draft, but you did.
No, it was the year after. It was only me the first year.
Was it only you?
Yeah, it was only me the first year.
Okay.
And then we met at the pub.
Yeah, because we drafted at the pub. We did a live draft.
On the back of a fruit box.
That's right. Off the back of a fruit box. With James and Rob, the assistant commish, put it together. I remember taking OBJ in that league.
I got to the final.
Yeah, you
and
did.
Got trounced by Lev Bell and Todd Gurley.
That's right.
Absolutely trounced.
I made the semis. I think I lost to Jack, and then Jack.
No, Rob.
James.
Oh, Rob.
That's it.
Yeah, Rob beat me in the final, and then I've never got anywhere near since.
That's it. And then, because I had Devontae. I took Devontae Adams in the third round that year when he went off.
Steal.
Yeah, absolutely steal. I remember actually. Who is it? I think Jack took David Johnson that year, first overall,
and did his wrist week one.
Yeah. So that was good. Yeah.
Never been.
So then we met, and then we were talking, and I remember us talking over chat about the pod, and I remember I was working at a company at the time, and I was in Copenhagen, and we did a listener league. You did the 5-yard listener league draft, and you invited me to that. I remember drafting.
I did a listener league. There was enough people to do a listener league.
Yeah. There was a listener league because I was in it, and I was drafting in my room in Copenhagen. I remember because I took James Conner with the last pick.
Was that when Lev Bell held
out?
Who else was in that league?
I think Max was in it.
Is it basically everybody from my home league?
I think it was everyone from your home league. Add 2. I think me and James McInnes were like the add 2.
Okay.
So because McInnes drafted drunk. Apparently, I was in Copenhagen, so I was an hour ahead. It started late. It started like 9. I remember being tired. I was in a really crappy hotel that my company put me up in, and I was bored and I had nothing better to do. I
remember
it was good. Yeah, I think I won that league actually, with James Conner being my last pick. That worked out well. And then I remember coming back, and then you messaged me saying like, "Can you come on the pod?"
Did you come on week 1?
Week 1.
Because then you didn't come straight in after that, did you? You did week 1.
I did week 1, and then you said to me, "Can I come back the following week?" But I came to your flat the first week, and the second week I said I can't come because I remember this now. I had a food shop that had already booked in.
We're hardcore here.
We're hardcore, and I couldn't. Obviously, I was at home and the only one at home, so I couldn't abandon the food shop. So we did it, and I did it over headphones on my phone. I dialed it.
What did we record that on?
I don't even know. We did it over phone. Or maybe it was over Zoom or something. I don't know.
The Zoom was not a thing.
It wasn't a Zoom. Zoom was quite early on, but no, it wasn't a thing. I can't remember how we did it. But anyway, we did it.
I reckon it...
I can't remember how we did it. Might have been Skype.
Might have been Skype.
It might have been Skype. Anyway, and then it was a couple. And he had Jack Humphrey on after that.
I think he did week 4.
Yeah, I think he had a week off, or he had a week in between. Maybe Sparky did the week. And then I remember doing an episode with you, me, and Sparky at your flat.
Maybe.
Yeah, I remember that in particular because where I made my great prediction about Mark Sanchez.
Yeah. Okay.
I said we should get Mark Sanchez a team, and then he got signed by the Washington then Redskins, now football team. Like weeks later.
Good old PC.
Worked.
Good work.
And then, I think it was round mid-season, just before mid-season. Nick and I. Nick's now your brother-in-law, but he wasn't.
Yes, because Nick was in between jobs.
Yeah, he was in between jobs. So we started it here, and we had the round table in the middle over there.
This room, if you're watching, this room isn't that big.
It's not a giant suite or anything. And then, so there was the 4 of us. Sparky pulled away first.
Then Nick got a job.
Then Nick got a job. And then
I mean, that sounds bad on Nick. Nick was just on gardening leave.
He's kind of enjoying it, but then his job is quite full on. And then it was just you and I, and then
that's how it stayed.
We got our first guest, who was Luke Easterling. I'll never forget that one more than anything. Not just because Luke Easterling of Bucks Wire and USA Today, not only was he a really cool guy, but we somehow managed to record it and we lost all of our side of the audio.
Sounds about right.
So we lost all the side. So we had his audio, but we didn't have ours.
Did we then re-record ours?
We re-recorded.
Yeah, that was bad.
We ended up having to re-record the entire audio on our side. I think we did a great job. No one knew, but yeah, that's what happened.
People weren't expecting the excellence they get now.
No, it was covered. And then we hit a run of guests there at the end of that first season. Where
we had Nat Coombs on and didn't record the pod.
Yeah, that was Super Bowl week.
Yeah,
we had Nat Coombs with a great pod, about 30 minutes worth of brilliant content for Super Bowl that season. And it was great. And then, hadn't hit record because we were on Skype. So that was when Skype went in the bin forever. We stayed with...
it was the death of Skype.
That was the death of Skype. And we ended up just staying on Zoom. But we had Marcus Grant, and he recorded outside of...
Sat outside NFL
office.
The
old NFL headquarters, which is great. With Bobby from Fantasy Pros, which,
can't erase that from the history. He was a guest. Peter Peer, was he early doors?
Peter Peer was quite early doors. I think he was before the Super Bowl. He came on Super Bowl week.
We had Andy Holloway.
Andy Holloway was our 50th podcast guest, I think.
He was big time.
I think he was, for our 50th episode or around about that time. Maybe it's 100. I don't know. It was somewhere around there. Andy Holloway came on. He was like, I will never forget when I told you.
That was Blockbuster at the time.
I'll never forget I told you that Andy Holloway was coming on because you were like literally the most excited you'd ever been. Like when you finished, you were like punching the air and everything. I remember that so.
That was when.
We did it in here.
We did do that in here. Who did we have on? We had Tags on.
Yeah, we had Tags on. Rest in peace, Tags. That was a great pod. That was quite early on.
That was early. And we had Microwave T-Man.
Oh, JJ.
JJ
Zachariason. We've had on a few times since. But yeah, he that was funny. The first time I roasted him for his tea habits because he used to roast his tea in a microwave. He had upgraded now to a full kettle. Bless him. That was brilliant. We had early ones with Pat Fitzmaurice, who of course has been on half a dozen times since. We did get Nat back on.
Jason from the Ballers came on.
He did episode 200.
That's what you're saying is we should have really tried for Mike Wright for 300 and carried the streak.
Not going to lie, I tried.
Mike.
I did try multiple times.
He's the most elusive, apparently.
He is the most elusive of the three. We will make it happen. I will complete the set.
Thanos.
I think for me, I think back to some of the guests we've had. And if you've not listened to them all, go back. There's a few, I'd say, timeless. I think you can go back and listen to. Scott Hansen was incredible. I mean, that was one of the hardest to book because it wasn't. He agreed to do it very quickly.
It was his agent who was really tricky.
It wasn't his name. Yeah, not his agent. It's someone who works at NFL who I had to liaise with, and it was 21 emails backwards and forwards after I'd agreed with Scott to do it, which was fun. We got it.
And then when his agent came on, he came on the phone almost not knowing someone else. Hello, is anyone else on the line?
Yeah, that was so weird.
I got through.
I had to send the questions we were going to ask and everything, and then he did the read that you hear at the front of the podcast. We still use that wasn't a cameo job that people have said. He genuinely was on the podcast. You can,
and he didn't even practice.
He didn't practice. We gave him the line. He decided to modify it and do something his own way, and he nailed it because he's a pro.
Consummate professional.
Michael Lombardi might be one of the most mind-blowing half an hours.
It was odd.
Well, I just thought it was like I learned so much.
It was brilliant. The weird thing about that was he got into the Zoom room before you did.
Yeah.
So I was just chilling with Michael Lombardi about his day.
I was about
which
a minute.
odd.
Yeah, I was about a minute and a half late or something like that. And you text me, like, "Where are you?" I was like, "I'm just waiting, just literally waiting to log in the room."
I'm just here with Lombardi. Help me out.
That was good, and yeah, loads of insight in that. It was really, really insightful pod. You know, like I actually don't know who my favourite.
It's a tough one. The thing is, we've done so many. Like this is not being big head or anything. We've done so many that some of them are just lost in my useless memory. And if I went back and looked over the list, I'd be like, "Good Lord, we had them on," and that's some of the specials as well, like the draft special, the Christmas special.
I mean, we did a 5-hour Super Bowl special this year. Well, it's 4 hour 51 minutes.
4 hours 51. It was a hell of a show.
That was not by design. It was supposed to be about half that. I mean,
that always happens.
I mean, do you remember Erica Tamposi came on? And that isn't even who I booked.
Yeah, no, because you wanted a hero, and they said no.
No.
Because you booked Ryan, didn't you?
I booked Ryan because he was a Chiefs fan, and Ryan agreed to come on.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, I'd absolutely love to come on and talk about the Chiefs because it was Super Bowl week.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs were in the Super Bowl in Miami.
Perfect.
And it was like, yeah, great. So Ryan agreed to come on, and he was a wicked bloke, lovely. He was like, yeah, of course I'll come on. And then he messaged me, he said, I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
Long story short, the NFL will not let me come on because I'm not on-air talent. Yeah. So I cannot represent the NFL on the pod. And he was like, but I can get you Erica Tamposi. And I was like, okay, that's it.
Done.
Yeah, deal.
So she came on, and she was on like some. She wasn't on the boat in Miami, but she was definitely by like a harbour or something. But yeah, that was quite cool.
That was good because she was putting her point across that she wanted to be known for knowing football, not just for being the girl who produces the ATM pod, which is definitely happening. Like she's brilliant. She smashed it. We had the draft special where the guy from Kansas who called in and just they had getting arrested with one tooth somewhere.
Oh, that he couldn't work. You had to try.
We were trying to get him in.
Oh my god, that was so bad. I can't remember that guy's name, but yeah, that was weird.
We recorded one in the pub watching Arsenal Tottenham with the
fantasy fanboys. Yeah,
that was when I had H.
That's it. You had H.
Yeah,
we watched Arsenal win,
smashed Tottenham
4-1.
Yeah,
that was great. Then we met this guy. What are you doing? Yeah, we're just recording a podcast. We did that.
Go away.
That's part of the Christmas special.
Bad audio.
We had one of my favourite moments was recording one of